Hey, welcome back to Blatherrhea. I'm John Caparulo.
And I'm Brian Shinanigan.
Good to see you again. We were just talking about Chewy Chips Ahoy. We have a lot of expertise. If anybody was call now, if you want if you want to talk about chipwiches, because I highly recommend. Yeah, if you microwave a Chewy Chips Ahoy, throw some vanilla ice cream in the middle, or your cookie of choice. You
don't discriminate.
Right? Yeah, you don't want to go because nobody wants a root canal off a fucking chipwich. It's you need soft cookie. You got to eat it faster, of course. But if you get really frozen ice cream and then put your soft cookie, you wrap it around. Look, take it from a fat guy. I'm like the Martha Stewart of being a fat guy, and you should really listen to me as far as that goes. And so hi, and
so join us for our next cookie-related podcast.
Well, next we have Fritz with a recipe. Anyway, so you were just at a roast battle tonight?
I went to the roast battle tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
How was that?
It was pretty good. They kind of mixed up the format a little bit.
I've heard a lot. These things have cropped up over the past decade or so. A lot of, I guess since the Comedy Central roast took off, and then other people seem to be doing these live roasts at comedy clubs.
Because I've been to the Comedy Store roasts, you know, that Jeff Ross does and that kind of stuff, and it was always kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
And honestly, I always kind of felt that the other accoutrements of the store were what made those roasts, like Jeremiah Watkins being there playing music and fucking God, what's that other dude?
See, roasts have never been.
I'm not a roast guy.
I've never done one.
No, I don't.
All my years of comedy and everything I've done in comedy, I don't know if people can just tell that that's not my thing, or if I just, because I don't like the idea. I'm not a shit talker on everybody. I like to make fun of myself usually, but it's
But it's all fat guy jokes.
Of course,
I've done 2 roasts. They're all fat guy jokes, and it's bro, I'll do better fat guy jokes on myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just
is that all you got? Yeah, I know I'm fat. We can all tell I'm fat.
But I mean, after a while, they do become kind of the same after a while. It's almost like anything. I remember what I still is the funniest roast joke I ever. It was Jeff Ross. It was shit. I forget whose roast it was. It was early on in the roast. It was around.
The TV
I remember
ones?
I was at my
Was the TV ones?
Yeah. But I remember he said Sandra Bernhard. I wouldn't fuck her with B. Arthur's dick. It's that's fucking brilliant because B. Arthur was there, so they show her going and it was funny. But it's after a while that's pretty much there's your roast jokes.
Yeah.
I mean that's how they go. But and then I've heard a lot of people doing naked roasts. Things like that. There's been a lot of. I've heard a lot about that. We talked about it on Killing Crickets with one of the other guys, doing these naked shows and stuff. I mean,
no,
is that fun for maybe 10 minutes?
I saw
I
saw the one at Skankfest, dude. I stood in the back so that there would be lots of heads in front of me, and it was all right until TC, who we have in the pod, TC Morgan, who runs the roast here at Wise Guys.
Right, yeah.
He's a tall man. And I'm oh, bro, he's above the heads. I'm damn it.
You can look at me now and assume I probably don't want to see him naked, and you'd be right because I don't. Every time I'm getting ready to get in the shower, I'm I wish I could shower in the dark. I really do, but it's just a lot of slipping and falling that I don't want to get into. But I've never been a roast guy.
But I loved the old roasts. I used to watch those Dean Martin celebrity
roasts.
Right, yeah,
I used to
love
a few of those.
Just fucking Rickles, because I love Don Rickles. He him and Groucho Marx are the two people because the quickness.
Yeah.
Quickness, just the bam, bam, bam. I've always wished I could be that quick. I try.
Yeah.
But I always he was. I mean, I think one of the best things was I was at a show in Palm Springs and we were in the 3rd row and Rickles threw a fucking thing at me. And I could not have been happier. It was a fat guy joke, but it was I was fucking Rickles. He talked shit on me. It's I felt like it was a rite of passage almost, but it's just.
I wonder if he could. I don't think he could survive in the climate now, though.
Oh God, no.
I mean, I don't think, because I mean,
even towards the end,
everybody's so fucking touchy with everything.
Yeah.
I don't think even his show is probably toward the end where even more people getting offended than anything else.
He even acknowledged it. I mean, I saw him a couple times right before, like in those last couple years, where it was like those shows where he was getting a little old, it was getting a little rough, and he was throwing some of the just, I mean, because it's some of the same lines he'd used for years. Like he used some of those lines on Carson.
They talked about that even like what was it like back in the mid '80s with the NBA All-Star Weekend. That's become such a the event that it's become since then. Since the mid '80s basically. I remember, I think the last straw for them, like before like David Stern took over, was they were talking about how they had Jonathan Winters come and be the comedic entertainment for, and I mean, it's all these like young black basketball players and all these fucking old white rich owners, and it's like it's basically like there's like 20 guys laughing and the rest of them are like, oh, we got to get the fuck out of here. And they basically just were, the players were getting up and leaving, and it was just like, it just didn't fit. So even back then, it was like, comedy like that was just kind of, I mean, that's the thing, is like comedy always has to sort of adjust to the era that it's in, and you can't live in a vacuum with it. And as much as people, say, oh, I'm sick of political correctness and shit, but the thing is it still gets, it's weird how it gets uncomfortable so fast. I mean, I know for me, it was like certain shit that I used to say gay so much on stage, was ridiculous, or just so like, and I still look back and I go, I never had a problem with anybody being gay. It was just, the word was funny to me. It just came out funny to me, and it was like one of those things, but it seemed like within like a very short amount of time, it suddenly became where it was like, I didn't even want to say that on stage because I just knew it wasn't going to get the laugh that it did before. It just wasn't going to be the same reaction, because sort of everybody's sensibility sort of shifted kind of all at once. It really was like where, for me, it was like 2010, 11, 12-ish. Just seemed like, all right, yeah, gonna have to find something else, some other way, some other approach to be funny, because that shit ain't gonna fly anymore. And it's just, I mean, the thing is, we'll always adjust when our incentive basically is to get a laugh, and if we know that people are gonna go, so that's just not like, what's the point now?
But there's still some of the old guard out there touring right now, that are still doing those bits. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. I mean, the only person I think that really adapted was Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah. Even towards the end, he was still very universal. He let a lot of the old bits go. He was writing new bits. Like, he was always, because he was so inclusive to everybody. Everybody.
He was very old school, but he adjusted. I mean, he really didn't come into his own until late.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's part of it too. I think he was just able to, he came into his own at the right time to like, so that he had that sort of like, he had an old school style, but his sensibility, he didn't wall himself off so much as far as the sensibility went. So I think, it seemed easy for him to adjust, but I don't know. But yeah.
So the Wise Guys roast, to come full circle, I thought it was good. They kind of let the judges do a couple of sets real quick, which was good to warm the audience up. And then they did two roasts that were kind of middling. One was like where one guy was like, it was just three, like bam, 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 like the other guy had no chance. It was like quick in, quick out. And then there was another roast where like the dude was doing monologues. It's like, bro, it's like short jokes, less is more. Like, it's like, I was like, was that one? Was that two? Like, what are you doing? Like, he's just talking. But then I thought what was good is that he actually did a set battle. So it was actually Casper, our man Casper, and Reese both did a 5-minute set, and then the audience voted at the end on who was a better set.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of thought that was kind of a nicer take.
Yeah.
And it broke up so that it wasn't just roast battle, roast battle, roast battle, roast battle. It was like, oh yeah, there's comedy.
Just comedy, straight up just doing some comedy, which is cool. I mean, I which I'm all for that. And I'm all for the roasting. I just don't think it doesn't. It's not my thing. No, so I guess I like, just talking shit on everybody else and cracking on everybody. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not that I couldn't. I guess it's never been a comfortable thing for me. Like when I was on Chelsea lately, like it just seemed like, I don't want to say that I wasn't, I was 100%, was not guilty of doing this, but I mean, there were times that, like, yeah, a certain thing will come up about a certain celebrity, and you just, you take the usual shots at somebody, because you couldn't think of something else, and then I'd always have to remind myself, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm not into snarky comments about, oh, so and so is known for like that. I just always try to look at the situation. Didn't matter about the players. It just was like the situation itself was always the funniest part to me, and not it just taking those like cheap shots at celebrities and everything. It's like, so what's the point? I don't know. So I don't know.
And I hang out with a lot of comics. We play video games together, and we talk shit about each other all the time. Oh yeah,
that's fun as fuck.
That's fun as fuck.
Yeah.
But if I said some of the things that we say, like while we're playing games to people,
yeah.
Oh, I would hurt some motherfuckers' feelings.
Because the thing is, because when you're just with your friends, you just have to worry about their feelings, and you know how they feel about it because they know you. But then when you have this wider audience, it's not just them. So they're not really, they don't understand that, oh no, so and so's fine with you saying that shit about them, or so. It just, naturally they're gonna bring in their own baggage to it, and then it's gonna fuck it all up.
Because I feel like I would go hurtful to some people.
Yeah, because it's always gonna sound.
Your parents are dead.
If you could have the funniest joke, you could have the funniest line on anybody, if nobody laughs, then all of a sudden it's just hurtful. Yeah. It's just like, oh man,
my bad.
Wow,
so we're not friends anymore.
Right? Because if you get silence after it, it's not funny. And I mean,
yeah, and there was a bunch of those tonight where it was just like, oh, that was just hurtful,
Right? Yeah, I'm not. That's not my thing, but it's always some of that shit can be pretty funny, I guess. I don't know, but anyway.
I mean, it was good, but I told him, dude, I'll do a 5-minute on 5-minute fucking battle. I'll put a 5-minute setup against somebody as a battle like that. I'll do that.
Yeah, that's cool. I've always liked that. That's why I've always liked, showcase shows anyway, like where there's a lot of comics, a lot of perspectives, a lot of points of view, because that's what it feels like. It just feels like sort of a battle of the points of view. It feels like a battle of the perspectives, like where you're just like. And that's what I always liked about, when I was coming up in LA, when I was at the Comedy Store, when I was at any of those clubs. That's what I was aiming to do. I wanted my delivery and my voice and my perspective to stick out. That's the whole key with comedy, is like you're just trying to get a point of view that people notice, as opposed to, most of the other comics they saw. And that's what I was always trying to do. So it
was a good show. Yeah. It was well done. Like I said, it was actually, because sometimes that show's been a little short, because it's like they just do the roast. It was a good hour-and-a-half show. I felt like the people got their value, and TC runs a good show. Shout out TC Morgan at the Wise Guys.
TC, what's up?
It's no, like I said, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. It was definitely worth it, and it was and Keith the owner was there, so it was nice that they had a good show with him there. Okay, so it was good all the way around. Good all the way around. All right. Anything you happened to you this week? Anything interesting over the weekend? Just a lazy weekend?
Not a goddamn thing. I'm just it was pretty much it's been a blur actually for the past week, or I've just been home. So I'm going to Bridgeport or something this week. But beyond that, I just been home, so nothing. God, shit, I don't know.
Hey, take the weeks where you can get them. I've seen your schedule. You got a lot of road dogging coming up here in the next few months.
It wears on you.
Especially those back east ones. It's, everything you're doing is back east. So it's long trips on both ends. But, that's the life we live. That's the gigs we do.
It is what it is.
Well, Cap, are you ready to talk about some news?
So, yeah, what's in the news here? What do we got?
So, we're going to start at the top, you guys. I'm going to throw it up on the screen here. From the AP... to escape jail and go to IHOP where patrons reported them. Cap, these guys took all the time. You can see the whole here on the screen.
Really, I mean, of all it's of all the, after you take the time to fucking escape from they escaped from jail or
from
prison?
From jail.
Jail. Okay, so it was the under a year holding thing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, so you're gonna tunnel out of the jail. You're gonna go through all that. You're gonna you're gonna build your dummy head, and you're gonna do all the shit that it takes to get the fuck out of jail, and then you're gonna go, you know what? We need to go someplace really well lit right now, and
in the middle of the day.
Fucking, yeah, that was in the middle of the day too.
Yeah,
because I was gonna say, I thought, okay, maybe their only excuse is like, if it's the only thing open. But I mean, like, why do you go together too? Like, why didn't you go, like, you go that way, I'll go this way?
Did
like,
you guys not think there was going to be a fucking APB out? Did you not think have you not seen The Fugitive that we're putting up roadblocks at 25, 50?
Right. Well, because, I mean, you always wonder, like, with that, I mean, I've talked about it on stage where, like, with, like, I used to watch the first 48 all the time. And, like, there, if you get caught in 48 hours, you didn't even fucking try. Like, I mean, if you don't kill somebody and go back to your house. I mean, it's just like, you don't go somewhere where they're gonna go, well, let's check there first. I mean, don't make yourself easy to fucking find.
They put out photos on the local news, and the patrons at IHOP turned them in.
Because you would think, like, they, I mean...
Change clothes.
I mean, because especially if unless you're, because they're only in jail, unless you're an escaped fucking mass murderer, they're not going to look that hard for you, are they? I mean, what do they do? Burglary or some shit?
The one dude was in custody for contempt of court and probation violations, and the other guy was in for credit card fraud, forgery, and grand larceny. So these were like
these are really these are non-violent offenders. Now
they just now they're going to go to prison.
Right? Yeah, they're going to. Of course. Yeah, they got.
They had to Richard Kimball that shit for some fucking
because there's something wrong with these guys where they don't like being in a cage, and they decided to get out. Like
didn't even but they didn't even try to get a. Let's go to an IHOP 2 towns over.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, okay, but. Who identified them? Like, how did they know to identify them? Were they in the fucking Hamburglar outfit or something? Like, why? What were they wearing that made them that identifiable? Because I don't think I could recognize two guys, a guy in jail for contempt of court, really? Like I have a list of, like, I know that guy. I mean,
I bet it was as stupid as they put that shit on the news, and the news was on at the IHOP.
Like, if BTK fucking escaped, I probably could recognize him. I'd be like, hey, isn't that
that guy looks damn familiar.
You know what?
To me.
Maybe I don't want to eat my pancakes now because I don't. Yeah,
is that
I feel
over there?
I feel uncomfortable with Dennis Rader being here. But it's like I don't think I wouldn't know these people. So how the fuck do they even know to report them?
Well, like, it's the same with like the Amber Alerts and stuff. I'm like, I would never like recognize a vehicle with that license plate because you put it on my phone.
I mean, like I could see if you read the Amber Alert and you saw,
if you happened to look up and it was right there,
Yeah, I mean, because that's generally. I mean, I would think when people say, like, if the guy's driving right under the Amber Alert, he's probably like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, if they say, Amber Alert, Nissan Altima, and it's the colors, I could see you recognizing that, but I don't see somebody like I don't see how somebody would recognize like an escaped con unless you were in fucking prison garb, and I don't think you get prison uniforms in jail, do you? I mean. They don't give you a uniform in there, do you?
I don't know.
I don't think jail gets you. I think you just wear clothes.
You just wear clothes.
I don't know because I haven't been to jail.
Yeah, it's not my bag.
Yeah, but, I would. Yeah, I'd be trying to get the fuck out too. But
no, I mean,
I don't think I'd stop. I'd go to a drive-through.
It was probably just basic.
Don't go to a sit-down restaurant.
Yes.
What the fuck? Like, it's like, dude, we gotta get out of here. What? I want to get dessert. Like, fuck off.
Like bro, we're out.
I want to get the creme brulee.
So we're out. What are we gonna do?
Are you serious
pancakes.
right now?
Let's go get pancakes. What were they gonna dine and dash too? Like they didn't have money.
Yeah, right. They probably didn't have cash, did they? Or I don't know if you have cash in jail. I don't know if you. I mean, it's probably not a good idea, but then again, I don't know. I mean,
I always thought cigarettes
I know they
was currency.
trade cigarettes and shit in prison, but I don't know if there's actual currency allowed in fucking jail. But
it's I don't. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's really.
It's like. I mean, they made a good dumb hole. Like I said, they had a.
So they busted it. They went through a hole and
they used tools.
They did the Shawshank thing.
They Shawshanked their way out.
Yeah.
And they were 2 blocks away. Is that what it said? Yeah.
I mean, because it's like, I don't know. You ever watch that there was a they did it was a Showtime series or something like that Escape from Dannemora one, like where there was guys. It wasn't that long ago, a few years ago. Like the guys like. And it was pretty good. I mean, it was a good series.
That
it
was
an
a pandemic watch for me. I watched that.
Yeah, it was an interesting story, and it was like, I mean, the way those guys they devised that whole plan. They did. I mean, because that guy was down there grinding his way out of that fucking wall for a long ass time, and like they it's.
They didn't stop at IHOP.
They didn't stop at IHOP. They stopped at somebody's fucking cabin in the wood. Like, what? Why would you have a cabin that close to a prison? But it's still, they like those guys at least tried somewhat to let's take the back roads here.
Yeah, you got to be Andy Dufresne and go to Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
If you breaking out of prison, you leave that area. I mean, they were found hours later.
Andy Dufresne. I mean, I love the Shawshank Redemption, obviously, but I mean, still. Andy Dufresne, like, okay, he still had to get across the border.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of hoops he had to jump. And, of course, there were no computers at the time, so, again, he might have made it, but it really you're just banking on the fact, because he had to go hide that box in the fucking under the rocks and everything.
Errands before he left.
I mean, it's like, dude, are you sure that this place still exists? You've been in prison for fucking 20 years. You're sure that fucking field in Buxton is still there? Really? We're positive. Okay. But it's still, I mean, if you're to tunnel out of prison, I would think, you would, I would think you'd be smarter about it. And And is the hole still there? Yeah, I wonder if the hole's still there.
Oh, I mean, they patched the hole. They're checking, to prevent further escapes of this nature.
Oh, good. Thanks for keeping us safe.
I mean, I guess I'm glad to do this, but just
I don't understand why guys like that can't just be under house arrest anyway. Like, really?
I mean, they were definitely nonviolent offenders.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So why can't they just put the ankle bracelet on them?
They could have Postmates in my hop.
I've never understood why for every single possible little offense, somebody has to no, we gotta lock you down, we gotta put you in a cage. It doesn't really work. It's because it's not really rehabilitative.
It's because it's a private system, man, and if they're in there, they make money.
Well, of course, yeah, of course it is.
They make money.
But it's
that's the long and the short of it.
It's still the idea that I mean, I don't. I think I don't know if we talked about it before, but the whole, we got to make a distinction between who we're afraid of and who we're mad at. Somebody said I was on a PBS documentary about prison system, and it was Frontline, and the guy said. It's a very smart line.
I'm not afraid of either one of these guys.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about them.
There's really, BTK or somebody. Of course, you want them locked down and fucking put under the jail.
I want them Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, you don't want any chance of them ever fucking getting out, and so that we have to be afraid of them again. But it's like, okay, the guy who had contempt of court. So basically, he pissed off the judge. Basically, he was a dick. At a hearing, and the judge is like, wow, well, you give him 30 days. Oh, you want to still talk shit? Give him 90 days. Well, does Barry Manilow know you raided his wardrobe? We'll give him that. And it's just like, that's why he's in jail, okay?
Yeah.
So he's not a real danger to the rest of us just because he doesn't bow down to a judge. Fine. Whatever he did to get in court, whatever, it still. But, okay, so why does that guy have to be locked up in a fucking cage? And then, the other guy,
dollars,
right?
Yeah.
It's like, why do we have to?
I'd rather pay for an ankle bracelet and he can stay at home.
Right? Yeah, he can make his own fucking breakfast.
Yeah.
It's like he
can order in some IHOP.
Yeah,
whatever.
And I don't understand why we have to fucking cage up every. And on a. Like on the surface, of course, the underlying reason is they want.
There's underlying social
there's always an underlying.
We're not talking about
it,
here, but
and usually that underlying reason is cash. So,
and we are not going down any kind of hole of America's prison system, guys. We're not going down.
No.
That's not what this is for. That's not what this is for.
No.
So let's switch it up to a mystery, and we're going to a mystery with this article, guys. It's from our friends at the UPI. I'm gonna throw it up. So, mysterious Minion sculptures are appearing in an Australian town. So, residents of this Australian town, just before Christmas, all of a sudden these metal Minions statues just started showing up all over town. Randomly. Randomly.
I mean, like, like how sneaky is this person that
they're small.
Able to, I mean, you're able to just.
They're giant.
I mean, go plant a minion and then run away and nobody saw you. Really? Like, it's. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like crop circles, basically. It's like, you just have minions showing up everywhere, and it's. I mean, when you think about it, okay, like whenever they find out who did this, I mean, it's pretty stupid. I mean, because is there really like, I mean, there's no real law broken here. You're just fucking.
You just dumping trash shaped like minions,
right? And it's minions of all things to pick out. You're putting up minions.
It's a town of 70 people. All right, so there's a start.
Okay, it's pretty hard to narrow down.
There's 24 of these statues as of the writing of this article, but the most recent has appeared fairly recently. But it's just like, dude, it's just old Jim out there. Like, it's a giant metal sculpture. Nobody hears it as he drags it off the truck and puts it on the ground.
In the middle of the night, you don't hear an engine idling outside, and you hear...
that scraping sound.
When he gets caught out there, so, anyway, I thought you'd like a minion. Bye. I gotta go. I mean, really, it's a pretty stupid endeavor in the first place. I mean, like it reminds me actually of when I was in college, me and my friend Neil, we used to basically, it was like our first couple years of college. It was before I transferred to Kent State. We were at University of Akron, and we never stayed over the weekend. We would always go back home to our small hometown, which was like an hour and a half away for the weekend, and we would drive back and forth in my fucking shit heap 1978 International Scout, the one I mentioned, I think, in my first special. Anyway, this thing, like the floorboards were like patched together with fucking, I mean, like there were old license plates and chicken wire, like that was the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think back like how I am as a parent, and it's like my dad just sent me out in this fucking bucket, like, you're my child, but you'll be fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, thanks. And
in any sort of accident, you're gonna be dead, but it's fine.
So anybody's ever driven a Scout though knows that I get like the way they designed them. I mean, the body was made like shit. I mean, it was basically paper mache. But they the distributor cap. They put the distributor in the front of the engine. I guess on most engines it would be in the back, like toward like where the windshield is. So if you were driving the rain into this thing, the distributor would get soaked, and the car would fucking like, because I remember it had exhaust that would like, they ended it right behind the driver door, and it would, when it would get really wet, like sparks would shoot out the fucking exhaust. Like it was really, and I mean, it was a perfect combo to go with my chicken wire and license plates, and just, it's fucking awful car.
Old Sparky.
Yeah, right. And but I can handle it because, I'm 19. And we're driving up the highway back to school one night, Sunday night. We're going back to school, and maybe 40 minutes from my, 40 minutes from my house, another hour almost to school. And, the rain basically conks out the fucking hoopty. And so we pull off the highway, and this isn't like a freeway. This is like, the interstate where like you'll see some headlights every few minutes, but for the most part you're by yourself out there, and pitch black outside, fucking, car stalls out, so I can't even keep the engine on or the light, anything. And we get off the exit, and there's one house right off the exit, and so there's no cell phones. There's no way there's even a payphone around at this point. So we actually had to go, me and Neil, knock on somebody's door to like call our parents, call my dad to say, hey, come fix this fucking thing so we can get to Akron. And so we knock on the door, and this dude, he basically has been through this almost like every week. He lives right off the highway, and his people come all the time who have car trouble. you know, and he welcomes us in. Call my dad, you know. I'm sure that was a really friendly conversation, and and so then we got like 40 minutes to wait while my dad makes the trip up to fucking fix this wreck, and so we sit down with this guy in his house. Because we were going to go back to the car and just sit. And he's like, no, why don't you sit down? Because he's just a single man, probably 50, maybe. And he's like, I don't know how we got into this, but we started talking about, well, you know, I make these love, I forget how you call it. He basically greeting cards for his sweethearts. Like these women that he was wooing at fucking 50. And he would like, and he's like, oh, I'll show you on video. So like he has videotape, VHS at the time, this is 1993 or 4. Throws in a VHS and we're watching, he's got like these, like, they're like set up like mile markers on the road. Like, so whatever woman he's trying to fucking woo at the time, he's like, you know, happy birthday, Ginger, like it'd be like happy birthday here, and then like a couple 100 yards up it'd be like Ginger whatever, and then it'd be like and then, you know, somebody loves you, the weirdo off the fucking exit. And like he was just, and he was showing us this, and we're like, that's he's
gonna bury us under one of these signs.
How are you single, sir? I don't understand why you're here alone.
Oh my God.
And then I remember the videotape. He's like, well, I'll show you the other one. And he throws in the tape, and the videotape, just as soon as he puts it on, it starts playing, and there's a house burning in the video. And I'm like, whoa! I'm like, what's with the fire? And he's like, oh, that was a property my daughter bought not that long ago. We were burning the house down because she wanted to rebuild. She wanted to build a new house. I'm like, you know, and I'm only 19 at this time, but I'm still like, aren't there laws? You can't burn a pile of leaves. Down. You can't just go. It's like you don't you have to get a professional or somebody like that to take down the existing structure.
Yeah.
You don't just go throw a fucking match into there and just go, we'll get rid of it this way. And it's like, and I remember I said to her, like, wouldn't the authorities have a problem with that? And I just got, fuck them. And I'm like, you're right, sir. I forgot about the stipulation in the law that said, fuck them, and you're good. So fine. So he shows us the burning house, and then shows us another video greeting card and I was just lucky that I'm with Neil, like, because I mean we're, you know, at least it's just the two of us together, but still, you know, we can't fight everybody off. And I remember and finally he's like, oh, you should see the new one I'm working on. It's down in the basement. And I'm like, this is becoming a really bad fucking horror movie right now. This is like Zodiac.
He
was
inviting you to the
gotta go down to the fucking
bro.
basement with fucking Charles Fleischer, and I'm like, and we ended up down there too, and I'm still like, how the fuck? Why did we care? I don't want to see his card. Neither do you. And I'm like, well, you know what, Neil? You tell me out here. I'm gonna go. I think my dad's close. And I don't know how we ended up out of there, but we ended up we did go like get in the car and just sit, and I think it started up, and I just left. I wasn't going back to his house to call him either, but that's what it reminds me of, just somebody just planting creepy shit like that just in random people's yards. Like, what?
Well, some of them have,
because eventually you're gonna get caught, and then you're gonna have to explain yourself. I mean, because I don't see anybody going, nah, it's cool. I mean,
well, it's because he made some of her mailboxes, so it's like he like basically dropped off a mailbox for somebody. Some of her planters and stuff like that. So it's like some of the townspeople are, you know, like kind of happy with the sculptures, but it's still like weird as shit.
Yeah,
it's still
it's very weird. Well, well, I mean, if they were an original design, too, like if he did something that was, but they're all Minion. Yeah. Like, really? Like, I don't know. Like, what if it's like I'm not into that. Like, can you make a request? Like, look, when you fuck with my house, can you do a Simpsons one for me or something? Something that I want to see in there instead of this fucking Minion.
And that's just you come out and like, there's a fucking Minion in my
yard.
There's
a Minion here.
And it's all metal. I'm not moving that shit.
Fucking
goddamn.
Stupid, dude. And the guy's out there like the fucking like that littering commercial. He's just got a tear going down his face. Like, I put in so much work for you. Like, whatever.
But it's a mailbox.
Get your fucking minions out of here. It's fucking stupid. Jesus.
But I think, honestly, because the thing that's documenting it is the Mountainside Wines, which is the only business, apparently, of the town. And I'm like, oh, the fucking wine people are doing it. Come on. Like, they're trying to fucking drum up business if they're the ones documenting on their Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I can't, like, what exactly, how does somebody, like, start with this? Like, where they, because you had to start somewhere. Like, okay, now he's obviously been doing it since last year, and he's just in motion with it. Okay, but when you did the first one, like, what exactly was your plan there? Like, how did it get to here? Like, I always think that, like, I see, like, when especially in Los Angeles, you'd see it a lot, where you drive past a bus stop or something like that, and there'd just be, some crazy guy, with a shirt and tie and no pants at the bus stop, just pacing and talking and just like, I can't believe it. Fuck, why can't I have a lawnmower on my ice cream? And just crazy shit. And you always think, like, where did he how did he start? How did he, before he was there, how did he get to this point where he's like, was he at home and he's like, you know what, I have the day off. I think I'm gonna go to the bus stop and I am going to work some shit out. Just hold on, let me remove my pants and then I'm gonna go on down. Like, how do you make, you made the first minion, or does he have all the minions already made? Like, I mean, is it like is each one he makes it and he's just like, fuck am I gonna do with this? Like, I don't have enough space. That would look ridiculous for me to have all these fucking people. Minions.
You don't know old Joe that with the scrapyard?
But I'm sure somebody from two towns over can probably come over. Like, I mean, let's be realistic here. I mean, with the Minion fairy, he could come from anywhere, and it's like you never like. Don't they see it coming in the car too? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, how are you driving?
It's gotta get down the highway.
Maybe if the cops pull over the guy with the fucking Minion in his truck, like maybe the guy with the giant Minion,
with the
maybe
giant
that's the guy. I don't know. Maybe that's
pickup
him.
Or trailer. Like, it's
just
especially at night when he's just the one guy on the road with a Minion trailer. Like, yes. I don't know, Cap. These are strange days.
I mean, like, what? Yeah, is that guy really thinking like everybody will love this? This isn't the least bit stupid. I am going to spread Minion joy to the entire Outback. And then people will respect me. And then because obviously the birthday cards I've been putting up for, and I'm not getting a lot of highway traffic now that people have cell phones, so I can't trap anybody. That could have been Leatherface that was at that fucking house that me and Neil stopped at.
You could not be here right now, is what I'm saying.
Easily, we could not be here right. I mean, and
you could be buried under a fucking sculpture trying to woo some woman.
I had to look at his fucking. He had some big. I mean, they were made out of plywood. They were fucking heavy.
You went to the basement, Cap. That's all I'm saying. Never go to the basement. I mean,
you don't go to the basement. I don't know how the fuck. We thought it was like, no, we're fine.
Yeah, we'll come down and check it out.
It's like, you want to come see the one in the basement? I'm like, well, Neil does. I don't think I want to, but yeah, I'm sure Neil wants to.
Until you're Pulp Fiction down there, you know what I'm saying?
I know, right? Until you're
fucking there with a ball gag in.
It's like, oh no, you got a guy in a trunk here, don't you?
Oh no.
God, and what are all these minions here for?
What are all these locked doors down here? Don't worry about that. Why are they shaking?
Why do they all say?
What are these? There's a lot of noises in this basement.
Jesus Christ!
Oh my God! All right, Cap. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit here, and we're actually going to go to like, I don't know, real-ish news. I don't know. It just involves the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. Okay.
Yeah. So from our friends at the AP, so the Supreme Court chews on Jack Daniel's dog toy dispute. Okay. So apparently this company has been making this toy since 2014. So we're talking almost 10 years ago. This lawsuit has been winding its way through the courts.
Right.
It's a bottle that. This company makes bottles. They have like a Mountain Dew knockoff. These are squeaky dog toys shaped like liquor bottles, soda bottles, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is a Jack Daniel's bottle it's a squeaky dog toy that looks like a Jack Daniels bottle. Now it has similar font, similar, like kind of.
It
has
a parody.
Elements, but
it's
it's
a parody.
It's a parody.
That's the whole reason the joke works.
Yeah, it's a definition of a parody because instead of the old number 7, it's old number 2 because it's dogs.
It's talking about dog shit on the dog shitting on the floor. Basically, is what it. Yeah.
But this, all the stuff we got going on in the world, in this
Jack Daniels, Bad Spaniels, and this is going to the Supreme Court.
All the way to the Supreme Court. The court case has been going for a good 8 years.
How is fucking Jack Daniels fucking injured by this? So they're not selling real whiskey to fucking dogs enough that they really is that what the problem is? Are you guys having such a hardship because you can't sell fucking whiskeys? You've been selling whiskey for like 200 years, haven't you? I mean that shit just looks old. I mean, Jack Daniels has been around for a long time, right?
So the Jack Daniels people's argument is that Jack Daniels has spent so many years building up goodwill on their brand that they don't want their brand to be associated with shit.
Yeah, because every time we think about whiskey, nobody could possibly think of anything negative. No. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being such a staple of dysfunctional families everywhere. Thank you.
A gateway to alcoholism the world over. Every movie, almost every movie you see where there's an alcoholic or something, what's the bottle he's always throwing? Jack Daniels, baby.
Of course it is. I mean, it's always. I mean, the thing is, and they cash in from that. It's like capitalizing on human misery for over 100 years. It's Jack Daniels. It's like, dude, it's a fucking dog toy. Like, I can't imagine. Like, what? Who decide? What lawyer said no? We're just gonna keep pushing with this. That this is that much of a fucking thing. Like, meanwhile, what bothers me the most is, okay, this is going to the Supreme Court. They're supposed to hear this soon, right? I mean,
they just heard it.
Oh, so they just so they actually did.
There are quotes in this article from Supreme Court justices.
And they discussed it. I mean, because when they talk about, because they, what is it, like 8,000, cases come across their desk basically every year.
Every year.
And they take maybe 80 of them, they said. Yeah. It's like less than 100 that they take. Like, while they're discussing this fucking chew toy that looks like a whiskey bottle, while they're discussing this, they have, like, I just rewatched, because I had shit else to do. Like I said, I just rewatched Making a Murderer. Like, the fucking, like, I mean, both of them are innocent and they shouldn't be there, but they tried to take the Dassey kids case to the Supreme Court, and they're like, no, we're not going to hear that. No, we don't have to. We understand that a completely innocent child was given life in prison because of some fucking scumbag crooked cops. No, it's this dog chew toy because they might be taking several $1,000s out of this $1 billion company's pocket. Like, what the really? Like, I mean, like, can you imagine just like if everybody's in the room, like the people who all wanted their cases heard, and the fucking the lawyer for fucking the Dassey kid is sitting there like, I guess they won't hear me. Next on the docket we have Jack Daniels versus Bad Spaniels Chew Toys, and like we're gonna hear that one. We're gonna hear that one because this one's really fucking matters. But no, it's fine. It's fine that this innocent kid has got life in prison. It's okay that his uncle's got fucking life in prison basically again because they fucked him over again because they don't want to pay him. It's fine. It's fine that those guys are doing life in fucking prison in Wisconsin, and fucking Casey Anthony walks the earth freely. She's fine. She's free. That's fine. That's no problem. She murdered her own kid and fucking right in everybody's face, got away with it, fucking wasted millions of dollars or whatever, and fucking in with all the police hoaxes and all the fucking wild goose chases she took them on. But no, this fucking chew toy because the fact that this didn't get laughed out of court in the first
at
stage,
every other level,
every stage,
at every other level,
and they just kept going.
8 years this took to get to the Supreme Court,
and the fact that the Supreme Court went, I mean, where they're just like, no, we get 8,000 cases come across us, and 80 of them a year we take, and this one, this one will be good for a laugh in between the fucking abortion one and the whatever. Like, really? Like, this is what you take when you're that discriminate about all the fucking cases you take. I mean, do they look at each other and go, what the fuck are we doing?
Well,
like, really? Does anybody out of
the main reason I think because Nike, Campbell Soup, and all of these other companies are backing this lawsuit because all of them have other lower level court cases where they've kind of brought this same kind of lawsuit against parody products. So it's like, so this has a little further reaching
parody. Like, okay, look, in that sense, look, I don't want to give credit to this, but I understand where, okay, that's an issue to a degree. I don't know if it's an issue. I think it's still something that should just be disregarded. Like, look, it's a joke. Like, okay, if they were selling whiskey with your label on it, of course, yeah, of course. Shut that shit down. If they were selling fucking apple juice with your fucking label, I get it. If they were selling cat toys, of course, because that's ridiculous. Because they don't play with them anyway, and they got catnip in them, and there's kind of they should have whiskey. I get it. But a chew toy that looks like a bottle of Jack Daniels is a problem. That's real shit. Like, okay, because like Nike, okay, them to have a proud, people make fake Jordans, shit like okay, great, but something that's a joke, No,
I got a dog toy in the other room. It's Ruffles. It's a Ruffles bag where it's like rough like a dog, like rough like a dog, like rough Ruffles.
Right.
Like it's a parody thing.
It's not that funny, but still somebody was able to produce it, and
I bought it because it's like, oh, that's cute. He's chewing on a Ruffles bag, Like I was like, oh, that's great. You don't play with it. As a side note, you don't play with that shit.
Right.
But the point is
you'd rather have the real bag of Ruffles.
There's tons and tons of, especially for animals and dogs and stuff. But even for people, if you go to like Spencer's Gifts and stuff like that, there's all those kind of parody products, where it says like a different thing of soda, where it's like a bank or has snakes inside or whatever. I mean, like, the parody product has been a staple for 50 plus years.
Yeah.
It's
just... and it's like, what? I don't understand how it can do anything but help
the brand.
Okay, because if somebody looks at it and goes, okay, the dog's, I mean, if anything, the dog's chewing the chew toy, and somebody who's got a, who's got the key thing that you want as Jack Daniels, money and alcoholism, I think they would look at that and go, whiskey would be good with dinner tonight, right? I mean, it would at least, I can't see how it does anything but help you. And it's not like it's taking money out of your pocket, because you weren't going to make the fucking parody product, were you? I mean, you weren't going to make chew toys with, I mean, I could see, like, if you had a competing line of chew toys, okay, like, if Jack Daniels made fucking chew toys with, and again, the Supreme Court justices are having this exact same fucking conversation. Like, this is what I'm talking, like, meanwhile, kid's fucking in prison for his life. And they're like, nah, we don't have time for that. But back to the chew toys. Let's get it, like, does it have a squeaker? Because if it has a squeaker, it kind of, it does kind of differentiate it from the whiskey, whereas whiskey doesn't squeak. Like,
I mean, if anything,
what are we discussing here?
If anything, you see your dog chewing that and you go, I need some whiskey.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It would, but I mean, like, there's nothing other than, I mean, because there are plenty of knockoff, even the t-shirts they sell, like, you can go, like, we used to have this thing, I'm sure it's still around, like, back by my hometown, there's this thing called Roger's Sale. Every Friday, there's this big fucking flea market that you would go to, and if you wanted to buy some illegal fireworks, some old porn, and fucking, and some fucking livestock, you go to this place, and you'd get covered in dust, and you get a sunburn, but you'd fucking, like, I mean, they would sell all this knockoff shit. Like, it was the first place I ever bought, like like Simpsons shirts and shit
or
like that.
bootleg DVDs
Right, they had
and
all
stuff,
kinds
yeah.
of bootleg. They had bootleg like Simpsons shit. Like they had. I mean, there were so many like because I was a stupid kid. You know, like I had a Gucci T-shirt. Now the tag said Fruit of the Loom, but still, they
was
printed
my
Gucci
Gucci,
on there.
baby.
And everybody
Man,
I
I
knew
think-
had a fucking Gucci shirt, and it's like they had all this stuff at these flea markets, and it's like you could make a case for okay, the real company loses money from that because okay, even though these people were buying it are never gonna be able to afford the real thing, but it's like, you know, you can still make a case for that. Okay, you're making clothes, and it's a clothing company who's losing money for it. I get it, but it's like when you're making a joke thing, when you have something that's such a staple as fucking Jack Daniels or Coke or McDonald's or whatever, Nike, it's like okay. I mean, these things are such a staple, and they're such, you know, they're brands that are like rock solid. And I can understand if like, again, if you had a like the T-shirts thing, like if you made Jack Daniels T-shirts that were knockoffs, like at the fucking Roger sale, I'm sure there were some of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's I get it. Like that's a legitimate like, yeah, man, you can't do it.
Parking lot
Even if it's
T-shirts.
even
the same
if, you know,
thing.
even if it's a joke one, which the joke one I still think should be allowed. Like if somebody does. You know, somebody does a Budweiser thing where they they use the because I was watching you ever watching.
I had a Budweiser shirt where it was Bud Weed.
Well, there was
you know?
the 30 for 30 about Catholics versus convicts. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Yeah.
About, you know, the Notre Dame where the guy was talking about like they printed up all these T-shirts and they sold them in college, and he's like talking about how like, you know, they would have the problem with the Notre Dame symbol and the Budweiser because they would basically do a parody of the Budweiser thing, and it would be like instead of King of Beers it'd be like King of Colleges or King of whatever, and so it's like okay, yeah, in order to sort of sell the idea you have to have like an exact copy knockoff of the real label so that, you know, so the joke works. Because it has to look the same to do the parody. And it's like, if you really make it that hard for any sort of artistic expression to occur, man, it really just, it's just so unnecessary. Because it's like, you know, okay, if you successfully take out this dog toy company and, you know, it's like, okay, so now nobody makes money off of that dog toy? Like, because you're not making them, so what's the point? Like, what did you do there? Because then you make it so, okay, they don't sell their fucking line of you know, Bad Spaniels fucking chew toy whiskey bottles. So the people at this company, they don't, you know, they have to fold, they go under, they don't sell any more fucking chew toys. Now, you know, they resort to alcoholism and they get your cash. I guess that's the whole idea. No, it's like they don't have money to fucking buy whiskey to fund your operation. It's like, really, is it really that necessary that you put that much of a fucking chokehold on everybody trying to just to live in this world? Because it's what it comes down to. It's just they created something. It's
and
cute.
they put on the label. They literally put not affiliated with Jack Daniels.
Right,
They literally
so
put it
again,
on the label of the toy.
I mean, I really hope at least, like, because if the Supreme Court sides on the side of the big businesses who have the problem with who joined this lawsuit, then I'm really pissed about it. But I'm still pissed that that of all cases they denied, they took this one, and none of them saw a problem with this, where they're just like, no, look, I understand, yeah, we want to talk about, you know, there's people in prison who shouldn't be there, and there's all kinds of just, you know, whether it's police brutality or it's fucking, you know, just all the problems that we're dealing with in today's, or, you know, the fact that, you know, we're able to fucking close down every fucking business, you know, except for the biggest ones for years on end over a cold germ that everybody had and got over. Like, you don't want to discuss that. No, we don't have time for that. But the chew toy thing we're going to discuss, nobody on that panel of 9 fucking justices goes, Don't you guys think this might be just a little ridiculous?
Well,
Isn't this kind of stupid?
And it's half and half.
And did you get a Minion in your yard?
Because the one judge is like, I have a dog, and like, yeah, it's a chew toy. I got plenty of these kind of toys that are like this. And then the other one is like, I guess I might not have a sense of humor, but I don't see the parody. All I see is that they copy the liquor bottle of the other company.
It just looks like it because it's supposed to look like the thing. Yeah,
because it's supposed to look like the thing. Because it's like, isn't that funny? My dog's chewing a liquor
right.
bottle.
I mean, that's the whole. And they did, they did a parody of basically everything. So it's like instead of old number 7, it's old number 2. Funny. It's a poop joke. It's fine. It's cool for a chew toy. And it's, I mean, I just.
But like when I was a kid, they bought them like if this goes through, Hot Topic closes. My parents bought me like Smokemon shirts instead of Pokemon, like Budweiser where it was a weed shirt, like all these kind of things. It's like a knockoff, like because I spent a lot of time at the swap meet in LA myself. Crenshaw swap meet, a lot of that stuff. I bought a lot of fucking booty boots on stuff, especially in the old days when it was cheaper to buy a bootleg on some of the CDs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff. But it's like bootleg is one thing. Knockoff is one thing. Like selling t-shirts outside of a concert that are the same, that's one thing. But when it's a parody, I feel like, dude, that's just giving your brand more awareness. Like that, like the Ruffles thing I bought. Like, does that? It makes me want Ruffles more, not less.
Who has a case is whoever created the Minions. Okay, the guy who's fucking making Minions and putting them in people's yard. So, okay, look, you're not licensed to make Minions, all right?
Yeah.
So okay, I can see how that would be a copyright infringement, and it's also weird. But it's like, it's still, you're fucking infringing on the Minions copyright because you're making your own Minions and you're putting them in people's yard, and now the real Minions people can't sell their fucking enormous Minions to put in as lawn ornaments because... no, everybody's sick of gnomes. So they were looking for that. So, right. But let's say they, maybe down the road, they might have wanted to. I can see how, that's cutting into their business. But look, this is, it really is just, it's transformative humor. It's basically, you're just taking an existing, well-known thing that is part of our everyday lives, that we've all, at some point, every adult has bought a fucking bottle of Jack Daniels at some point, whether it's for you or somebody else. And it's like, so we've all kind of contributed to make this fucking, the fact that there are brands of whiskey is ridiculous anyway, because it all tastes like burning. It just tastes, it tastes like I need anything else in my mouth right now because my fucking mouth is on fire. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm not a connoisseur of, because it all tastes like, this is terrible. Yeah, it tastes like I'm going to get a DUI is what it tastes like. And it's like, I just don't understand, and I don't understand why anybody, at the company, what, because it makes you look like a fucking asshole. If I ever, not that I buy whiskey anymore at all. I've gone through spells of buying, but I haven't bought whiskey in forever. Is what I'm saying. It's like, if I were to buy whiskey again, though, I'm buying Johnny Walker now because fuck you guys, because that's just fucked up. Why would it just have a fucking sense of humor, dude? It really. There's got to be some underlying thing. There's got to be more to it than what we're saying.
I think there's the cheapest.
I think there's a reason for it underneath that we're not even aware of.
Well, it's like a few years ago they had kind of a similar case in California where the people were suing all the piñata companies because they were making Disney princesses and stuff like that, because it's like, oh, you're making SpongeBob's and we're not getting paid for the likeness, and it's just like, it's a piñata. I can kind of see the licensing and the trademarks and stuff like that, but even that case was like, they were like, okay, great, how are you going to enforce it on all these party stores and stuff where, all these things are made in a factory in Mexico and they're shipped up, shipped up here by the hundreds. Like, how are you going to enforce that? They're not going to stop doing it.
Right.
And it's kind of the same with this. It's like,
I just think,
on the flip side, fine, then change the label on the bottle.
See, even with the Disney princess thing as a piñata, you're doing that exact thing. If you were making, if I could see it if it was like a chew toy that said Jack Daniel, straight up Jack Daniels
old number 2.
Yeah, right. It just was the straight thing. I could see that. But if it's a social commentary, it's a joke, which they did. It was just derivative. It's basically they're just mocking an existing thing because it's a fucking dog toy. And I don't know. I just it really is. It's really fucking petty and it's really stupid. And I think at the end of the day, the dogs lose out because what
happens at the end?
Now they just got this blank fucking chew toy to chew on, and they're like, I don't even feel like I have whiskey now. This is what do I do with this?
What's he even chewing? How am I reminded I gotta buy whiskey?
I'm gonna chew your shoe now
to get through my day. How am I gonna be reminded if my dog's not chewing a bottle?
Because fuck Nike. Because you know what? Their shoes are gonna get chewed up because of this thing that this is ridiculous. And we've talked far longer on this than we should have. But the Supreme Court's actually there's gonna be people in robes who've talked about this. While the kid's in fucking prison
for days, yes, for days,
for his life.
They're deliberating on it as we speak.
But that kid's in prison for his life, while you guys sit there and talk and discuss the fucking chew toy debate. We'll see how it comes out, Cap. We'll see how. We'll do a follow up to see how they rule on this. But yeah, I mean this could have big implications on the entire chew toy industry. That could be earth shattering. Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to keep feeding my dog penises instead. That's what I have
to do. And people who don't know that bit from you are just gonna take that at face value.
Goddamn right.
So,
Goddamn right. If you don't know we feed our dogs penises, go to a store. Okay, go to a store. Look at the ingredients. We're feeding a lot of our animals the ball dust of animals. I'm just saying.
He doesn't represent me. All right, well, anyway,
Cap,
thanks for joining us again.
That's it. So let's land this plane. Where can the people see you upcoming here, Cap? You got dates coming up here?
Same as last time. Jimmy Kimmel Club here in Vegas, and I'm going to Bridgeport, Connecticut this week.
Bridgeport, Connecticut this weekend.
Yeah, and Saratoga Springs, New York. I'm coming up on later in April. And Milwaukee, and so forth. Yeah,
Florida.
So I'll be around.
Yeah. No, you see, go get all your John Caparulo stuff at johncaparulo.com. Follow him on all platforms. Go to his YouTube. Watch the videos. They're funny. Tell your friends. Like and subscribe. That's John Caparulo. I'm Brian Shinanigan. Follow me at brianshinanigan.com or just go to Cap to get to me. You can backdoor your way through there, but start there first because we got to get more viewers on all this stuff because we have good content.
And all I want to know is where's my minion? Where the fuck? There's a lot of people who don't have minions in their yard, sir.
Yeah.
Where you been? Huh?
So if you're in the Las Vegas area and you got a metal minion for us,
drop
it off.
Catch me on your delivery.
Yes, put us on that.
When you're on your minion route tomorrow morning. Peace.
Oh, but yes, so I'm Brian Shinanigan. That's John Caparulo, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.